Hello gentlemen and gentle ladies, my name is Sir Stanger, and today we're going to be talking about the state of the spy after the Jungle Inferno update, and things are not looking great. Alright, now real quick before we jump into this, I just want to address something. We all know the spy got hit pretty hard in this last update, and that's really no secret to anybody, but one thing that I have been seeing a lot of people saying is that the people who are, you know, like spy mains and stuff like that coming out and complaining about some of the changes are just salty because their class got nerfed, and all of their complaints are thusly invalid because they have, you know, some sort of biased opinion towards the class. And while this can most certainly be true in some cases, at the same time, the people who main the class that got nerfed are probably going to be the people who know the most about what the effect is going to be of these changes. So I kindly ask that you take a listen to my argument before you run down to the comments section and accuse me of just being salty for my class being nerfed, and maybe, you know, find out if this was actually a good thing for everybody. Alright, well, enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive into what exactly has happened with the spy. Now, originally when I was going to be making this video, I was actually going to be making it in two parts. One part was going to be entirely for the ambassador because of just how big and controversial of a change that was, but I don't really need to do that anymore. Another spy main YouTuber by the name of Woolen Sleevelet has already made this video, and he did an absolutely excellent job. I definitely recommend that you go on and check it out. I'll leave a link to it down in the description so you can really find out everything that happened with the ambassador both before the update and after the update, and what its major effects are going to be on the spy as a class. Woolen is a much better spy than I will probably ever be, and he just absolutely killed it with this video, and I definitely want you to go check it out if you haven't seen it already. I'm really starting to get the sense that the spy may not be Gaben's favorite class anymore. Spy mains really got kind of left out to dry in this update. We really didn't receive much of anything that I would consider, good. Now, I do understand that this update, you know, for the most part was basically about the Pyro, and so, you know, the spy being a class that's kind of directly countered by the Pyro probably wouldn't receive a whole lot, but I guess I assumed we'd at least receive a hat or something, which of course we didn't. No, really, I'm being serious. Go check it out. There's no new cosmetic that's just for the spy, or even just for the spy and a couple of other classes. He only got new cosmetics that are for all classes, and that's it. In fact, the new skins that you can apply to your weapons, he didn't actually even get any to weapons that you couldn't already put skins on. It was only for the knife and the revolver, not any of his other revolvers or knives or anything like that, just the ones that you could already find skinned variants of. Now, obviously, these are kind of minor nitpicks. I don't really mind that much that the spy didn't get any new cosmetics, or that you can't get, you know, your diamondback skinned or something like that. That really doesn't bug me all that much, but it does kind of seem like a smaller symptom of the overall just kind of feel that spy mains are having right now. We just feel kind of left out. Not to mention, and this has nothing to do with the actual implemented update itself, but obviously just a lot of people are playing Pyro right now, which, you know, for some spies is definitely really irritating. I know that I personally have had a couple of issues with it, but for the most part, there's just a lot of people who don't really play Pyro all that often, not spy checking, and they're just that much easier to kill. But I know a lot of people are having problems, so, you know, definitely just stick in there if you're a spy main. The Pyros will eventually not be here as often. Okay, so Spy got two weapons that were obviously nerfed. They were called nerfs right in the patch notes. Everybody knows that they got nerfed, and those are going to be the Ambassador and the Dead Ringer. For the Ambassador, they reduced its overall range, so you could only do critical hit damage for 102 up to a certain range, and then it would start to drop off as damage fall-off happened over a great distance, eventually getting to the point where you just couldn't land a critical hit at all. So if you land a headshot from a certain distance away, no headshot at all will happen. And the Dead Ringer change, which was a little bit less controversial, was just that you couldn't pick up ammo packs to recharge it once you've already used it, so it took a little bit longer to recharge because you had to actually wait for the watch to naturally recharge over time. Now, I think a good majority of people, even spy mains included, all knew that the Dead Ringer had to be nerfed at some point. It was definitely a little too strong, it was way too easy to abuse, and it was just extremely infuriating to fight against, and so I totally understand why that change happened. I'm not really mad about that at all. I do think maybe they nerfed it a little bit too hard. I think maybe there's some stuff they could do to help bring it back a little bit. It's a little bit too situational right now, but other than that, I think it was a pretty good change. I think it's a healthy change. I think more spies are using the Invisible Watch and Cloak and Dagger now, which is going to just overall produce better spies than the Dead Ringer spies that we had of late. But you know what, overall I am definitely I'm pretty happy about the Dead Ringer change, I guess I could say. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go too in depth about the Ambassador, but I will kind of give my thoughts on it. I am personally of the stance that the Ambassador was pretty much fine where it was. I don't really see why it needed to be nerfed, and Here's the thing that always kind of got to me. I never really saw anybody complaining about the Ambassador being overpowered until Valve suggested a nerf for it. I mean, after all, the Ambassador takes literally hundreds and thousands of hours of practice to get good with, even to use at a close range, to be worth using over the stock revolver, let alone at a long range, which is insanely difficult to do with the Ambassador. So I don't really think there should be a ton of spies running around absolutely just annihilating snipers at long range with the Ambassador. I think that there were not that many people who could actually do something like that. So instead, what it feels like is Valve gave a suggestion to nerf the Ambassador, and then all the people who hate Spy, which is a lot of people because Spy is literally intended, it's supposed to annoy people. That's the point of the Spy. All the people who hate the Spy class just kind of jumped on board and said, yeah, fuck that weapon, it's totally overpowered, and, you know, it needs to be absolutely nerfed. When, in reality, probably most of the time when they were getting long-range headshot, they were, like, standing completely still and got annihilated by a Spy who came at kind of an angle they weren't totally expecting. But, you know what, that happens to all of us. I mean, I use the Ambassador all the time. I've been using it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I am still not very good with it at any range. Like, I am definitely not reliably landing headshots at any range. I'm just continuing to practice with it in hopes that maybe my aim will one day improve if I, you know, continue to use it for long enough. And just knowing how much time I've put into it and how far I've gotten and still not at a range where I can actually reliably land headshots, it's kind of absurd to me that this weapon was nerfed so hard, as though every single Spy who was using the Ambassador could totally outdo a sniper no matter what they were doing. And it's just kind of, it feels pretty dumb. And not to mention that, let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. The Diamondback was not touched at all. And a lot of people, including many Spy mains, think that the Diamondback is probably a bit too strong and a little bit too easy to get those crits on. I mean, it doesn't really feel too fair, even as a Spy main, whenever I'm, you know, fighting a team and I just kill some Gibbous engineer, sap his whole nest, and then boom, I have like 7 crits or something that I can use to just absolutely destroy an overhealed heavy or whatever else I want to do. And I can do that at any range. There is no damage fall off with the Diamondback, and it does still have a perfectly accurate shot for the first shot. There's a little bit of a cooldown, but you still get that perfectly accurate shot. So you can now deal the same damage as you could with the Ambassador, but just by punishing your team for having one person who's really easy to kill or something like that on their team. And to me, that feels way less fair than being killed by somebody who has really, really good pinpoint accuracy and managed to get you from a good long range. Now, I know that there are some people that don't agree with me on that. To those people, I say, I disagree with you. I think you're totally wrong. But, you know, other than that, it's just, I do think the Diamondback should have been changed if they were trying to decrease the range on the Spy, because 102 damage shots from a crit that you basically got from killing some completely unaware player and then punishes their teammate for that, that's just not cool. That's not fun. And I'm not even suggesting a nerf necessarily for the Diamondback. I've always hated the way the Diamondback works. I think it's just kind of a knockoff Ambassador that just encourages less skillful play and rewards you for doing something you should be doing already. Like, you don't need to be rewarded for backstabbing people and sapping nests. That seems like something you should already be doing. I personally feel like the Diamondback needs entirely new stats. What those stats would be, I don't know, but I feel like we could repurpose it to do something else. Maybe do increased damage to buildings or something like that, like make it a good kind of anti-sentry nest weapon, something like that. I don't really know, but you know, I just think that the Diamondback needs to be completely reworked, and this whole getting crits on backstab stuff, that's bullshit. That needs to end. But for now, if you want to harass enemies at a long range with the Spy, the Diamondback might be your best option, might be your only option, and you know, that kind of sucks. But, you know, let me know what you think of that down in the comments section. I'd be really interested to see what you guys think on that. Anyway, moving right along. So along with the nerfs to these two weapons, the Spy also got a buff as well. Now this buff was for the Your Eternal Reward, which is my personal favorite Spy knife. I know it's not the most viable in certain situations, but I've just always loved this knife. I think it's the coolest thing. Basically what they did is that they noticed that the knife wasn't being used all that much, and they attributed that to the fact that it was kind of difficult to use. It's a little hard to get that first backstab for some players, and in order to get that disguise, because some people really need that disguise, you know, for sentry guns and stuff like that, to get around those so they can get their first disguise and then land a backstab and then continue to chain stab on from there. So what they did is they made it so if you decide to trade in a full amount of cloak, so literally your cloak meter is full, if you trade all of that in, you can then use a disguise before you go on in, which is a pretty cool thing, I guess. That's, you know, for the people who definitely needed it, that was definitely a good change. However, they also made your cloak drain 30% faster while using the knife. So basically you kind of have to use it with the L'Étranger now, otherwise you're going to run out of cloak insanely fast. Now, I took to Twitter and Amino a little while back to ask you guys what you guys thought of the new Your Eternal Reward change. Did you think that the knife was overall stronger or weaker than it was before? Now, to my surprise, the answer that I got on both platforms was a resounding yes. The knife is significantly better now. Now, in one respect, that is surprising to me, but in another, it's not, and let me explain. The Your Eternal Reward has always been a difficult knife to use for people who don't play Spy that often or who just are not Spy mains, and, you know, definitely have a bit of an issue with getting a stab without using a disguise. Like, they feel they need that disguise in order to land a backstab so they can then use that disguise to, you know, go and get more backstabs, as has always been the case with the Your Eternal Reward. Now, as a Spy main myself, I don't find myself having any difficulty getting a backstab without a disguise in most situations. There are those that are a little bit more difficult than others, but in most situations, I don't find myself having too much trouble getting that backstab. So, to me, I never really needed to sacrifice a whole bar of cloak to have a disguise to start out with. You know, I felt like, oh, that was, you know, that's a cool little change for the people who are having trouble using it, and that'll be good. But then you attack on that second stat, which is the increased 30% cloak drain, which makes you lose cloak just so stupidly fast. It honestly, it caught me by surprise the first time I used it. Now, for a veteran Spy player like myself, who plays Spy, you know, quite a lot, I'm probably not going to use the first stat where I actually trade in all of my cloak in order to get a disguise. I probably don't need that in most situations, because I'm probably able to just get a stab. Not everyone is, but I know that that's not the case for everybody, which is probably why a lot of people feel like the knife got stronger. But since I never really had that issue, I'm not really going to be using that stat. So the only thing that's changed on this knife for me personally is now I have much less cloak to do what it is that I want to do with it. The analogy that I keep using to describe the Your Eternal Reward is it feels like they put training wheels on a motorcycle. Like, those people who could not ride a motorcycle before, sure, it certainly helped them figure it out, but for those who could ride a motorcycle, it's just slowing them down. I personally would like to have the freedom to use the Your Eternal Reward with any revolver that I want, and it'd still be a fairly viable loadout. You know, I want to be able to use it with the Ambassador, or the Diamondback, or even the stock revolver. The fact that I pretty much have to use it with the L'Étranger in order to have enough cloak to guarantee that I can get in good positions for stabs, that sucks quite a lot. I really hate that this has forced me to use this knife in a very specific and certain way. When it was totally usable before, it just took a little bit of practice in order to get those backstabs without a disguise. I'm really passionate about this particular weapon. It's a weapon that I've always loved. I've always suggested to newer spies to try and use this knife because I feel like it really helps you learn good positioning and good timing and making sure that when you go in for a stab, you're going in at the right time. But now I just feel like the knife has been kind of dumbed down so that more people can use it. Even though it's probably not overall as good as it was before. Again, these are all just my thoughts and opinions on this. Clearly, I'm in the minority on this one. I'm one of the few people that thinks that this knife got nerfed, but I also know that I'm not the only one. I have talked to other people who believe that the knife was just stronger before, especially if you knew how to use it. So, you know, definitely let me know what you think down in the comments section. Feel free to debate it out in there. This is probably the change I'm most bummed out about in this update, which is the Ambassador's probably the second one I'm most bummed out about, but the Your Eternal Reward, I think that sucks, and I hope that one day Valve can maybe take a look at this knife again and give it a proper chance to be a pretty valuable knife across all skill spectrums. Alright, enough tears, next topic. So the Spy actually did receive one major buff that a lot of people don't really seem to be talking about, and it actually came as a nerf to the Pyro. On the third day of the update, it was announced that the Pyro's afterburn would be getting a change, where the burn duration is now based on how long the flamethrower has actively been hitting the enemy. Now, this is huge for spies because there have been tons of times where you're running around and then like just a little bit of a hair of a fire particle hits you, and then boom, you're on fire for like 10 seconds and there's nothing you can do about it, you're totally gonna die. Where now, the Pyro actually has to kind of know that you're there and try and actively track you in order to make sure that you die to their fire. And I have found myself surviving in many situations where I know for a fact I probably would have died before this update came out. I think this is actually a pretty big change for spy players. Whether they meant to or not, Valve totally threw spies a bone with this particular stat, because I think spies are going to be one of the classes that is most affected by the Pyro's afterburn, and I'm just not having anywhere near as many problems with pyros as I had before, mostly because of this particular stat. I'm having a lot more fun running around playing Knife Spy because I can be much more stealthy, and without somebody just accidentally fucking checking a corner with a little bit of fire, I can actually get away most of the time. It's given me a lot of opportunities that I never would have had before. This is actually such a monumental change that I'd have to say that overall, despite all the nerfs to spy weapons and such like that, I think that spy overall was buffed in this update because of this one change. Now again, this all kind of comes down to my personal opinion and what I think on this, but I want to get the opinions of the people who also play a lot of spy. If you play a lot of spy, let me know down in the comment section. Do you think you're getting away more often when you're lit on fire? Do you find that you're having a much easier time escaping death? Because I know I am. I'm having a much better time with this particular situation. That obviously happens a lot because pyros are supposed to be hunting down spies a lot of the time. So, but you know what? Regardless, I really want to know your guys' opinion on this one. But anyway, you guys, that's pretty much all of the thoughts that I had on the new pyro update and all of the changes that happened that affect spy. I definitely want to know your guys' opinions on everything that I said in this video, and if I miss anything, please let me know if there's anything that I just totally glossed over and didn't really touch on enough, or I missed entirely. Let me know. I want to know about those things, and if it's enough, I might do like a part 2 or a second video just on those things. I really want to thank you guys for being so patient and supportive for me. It's been absolutely critical to my success right now. I've been having a really hard time finding time to make videos, but I promise that I am looking to try and upload much more often, at least once a week, and so, you know, definitely keep a lookout for those. I'm hoping to start uploading every single Thursday, even though this video is not coming out on a Thursday, but you know what I mean. But most definitely plan on seeing a lot more of me in the future. I plan on uploading a lot more often, and I'm just having a lot of fun with YouTube and with TF2 right now, so I'm definitely feeling a nice creative bubble coming to help and entertain you guys, I hope. I wanted to give an especially huge shout out to all my supporters on Patreon. You guys really helped me get through most of my life. I know that just, you know, donating even $1 helps me tremendously, so every single person that does means the absolute world to me. So if you feel like donating to me on Patreon, there is a link down in the description. I encourage you to go check that out. I have a bunch of reward tiers if you want to go read through those. But regardless, I appreciate you just watching these videos anyway, and especially if you got this far. Like, my god, this is a long-ass video. Also, another shout out to all the people who have donated me items on Steam. I really appreciate it. I'm kind of considering these little birthday gifts. My birthday should be tomorrow, the day after this goes up, November 20th, so I definitely really appreciate all the item donations. It means a lot to me, and I always treasure these. I find it so cool and clever, the stuff that you guys give me a lot of the time. Anyway, you guys, thank you so very much for watching, and with that, let's keep the internet classy. I'll see you then. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello,
can I have the attention of the internet?
My name
for
is
1 second.
My name is Sir Stanger.